he got that job into Zomato even before any of us got into our placements, right?
Hello, viewers, and welcome to your very own Tech and More. As you know, podcasts are gaining high traction because of the immense value they add. So, even we thought of doing the same. But there's a small change. That is, we have planned to reduce the timing of podcasts. That is, we call them speed podcasts. And why we are doing it? Because, with the advent of social media and reels and everything, the attention span has reduced drastically. So, our aim is to reduce the time of podcasts. So, you are able to learn new things in lesser time, but at the same time we intend to provide you maximum information possible. So after watching this speed podcast, do share your feedback. So hi Ayush, how are you doing?
Hey, hi Chaitanya, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
All good, thank you. So first of all, a warm welcome to our platform Tech and More, and thank you for accepting our invitation to talk about today's agenda. And folks, the agenda, as you saw in the title as well, is how do you transition from a service based organization to a product based organization as a non IIT or NIT engineering graduate? This is the key. So, if you're from a tier 2 or a tier 3 engineering college, and if you wish to switch to a good product based company, for example, the Mang organizations or MongoDB, and other good famous product based organizations, how do you do it, right? So, no better person than Ayush to answer it because he has done it himself, right? So before we start, tell us a little bit about yourself, Ayush.
Sure, definitely. So, hi, hello everyone. This is Ayush Varshney. So, I have about 7+ years of experience into testing domain and majorly into Salesforce. I started my career in back in 2017 from service-based company that was Accenture. Then I switched to another service-based company. Then I upskilled myself, learned all the required skill set, and then moved to a product-based company. And ever since I've been working into product-based companies, and one of them is like MongoDB, where I'm working
Yeah.
right.
Thank you, Ayush, for sharing your credentials. And guys, as you know, today's agenda is quite famous among IT professionals because product-based organizations come up with a lot of growth opportunities. The kind of work, the kind of culture, the kind of compensations you get are very interesting and very exciting. So, of course, who wouldn't want to be part of such organizations? Now, I'll tell you a little bit about the format of the podcast and then I'll give it to Ayush. So, first of all, we are going to start with a basic step-by-step roadmap that Ayush will share on how can you switch from service-based to product-based organizations, especially as a tier 2, tier 3 engineering graduate. Then after this, we have some questions that we gathered as a survey around the transition to product-based organization, right? So then Ayush will be answering that. So first things first, Ayush, help us with the basic roadmap of how you get into good product-based organizations.
Sure, definitely. So I can give you a basic roadmap that I follow every time I'm switching from service. So basically, when
Yeah,
I use this basic roadmap from switching from a service-based company to product-based organization, this helped
yeah,
me a lot in my career, basically. So the basic things that I follow, the first part is the skill up. Obviously, you need to get your skill set done right. So let's say you
yeah,
want to apply for a specific company for a specific role, then you need to learn those specific skill set for that particular job and for that particular organization. So
right.
scale up on those skill sets. Then build your portfolio, create some, let's say you are learning some new technology, you are learning some new language. So build up your portfolio and that, create some basically create some projects on that, add
Mhm.
those projects to GitHub repository, share those on LinkedIn, add those to your portfolio. So that will again be really helpful when you apply to those organizations. They will see that you have already worked on those projects by yourself. They will see that you already have that knowledge, and it will increase your chances to get selected in those organizations, right? After that, network. The next part would be network. Build your network on LinkedIn and other social media platforms which target around the job market. So majority will be the LinkedIn. Create your LinkedIn profile properly, have it reviewed from your friends, from your colleagues, then add those people from those targeted companies where you want to apply or where you are applying. uh, your referrals done from those employees or from that organization, right? After that, prepare for that. Let's say you get your interview, then prepare for that interview properly. Have done your mock interviews properly? Ask your friends, ask your colleagues to mock interview you, So in that case, you can be prepared properly on those interviews. So I think, yeah, that's a basic roadmap that I follow. That should be helpful, and definitely you can add your own things into this roadmap and you can make it your own. But yeah, I think this should be helpful.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, the reason for asking this question is that when I Google this particular topic at my own level, yes, there are a lot of articles available, but very few have this basic roadmap. So, people who are telling about this particular question is very advanced, right? Nobody, I mean, very few resources talk about the basic things. And, for folks like me, when I was at that stage, I always wanted things to be very simple. So the way you have explained, I think things are a little simple now, and our viewers will be able to get the head start from here. And people who are watching this video right now, don't worry, I'll be sharing this particular step-by-step roadmap in the video description as well. Number one. Number two, if you feel that you have more questions and you need more help, nobody better than Ayush. Please reach out to him on LinkedIn. He's very active there, and I'm sure he'll help you out. So again, thank you, Ayush, for this roadmap. And now let's quickly jump over to the questions that we were asked. And, a caution to you, there are a lot of questions coming right at you. And, I'm sure that you'll be able to dodge them very well. So cool, let's start. So the first question for you, which even, when I was at that stage, even I wanted to ask, how are product-based organizations different from service-based organizations in general? That is, just as an FYI, I know the basic difference. The folks know the basic difference, but from the working style, from the growth style, from different perspectives, how is it different?
Uh, so there are lots of difference. So first difference is obviously, let's get the elephant in the room done properly. So first
Yeah,
difference is obviously the pay scale. Whenever you are searching from a service-based company, from a product-based company, you will see a huge difference in the pay scale. Definitely,
yeah.
product-based companies will be able to provide you good pay scale. So that is the common difference and the major difference for which people switch. So that is there. Another difference that I have noticed is the work culture. So it's not like the work culture is bad or good in any of the particular organizations. It's what basically what type of work culture is there. So let's say in a service-based company, the work culture is majorly around the client requirements. Since like in most of the service-based companies, the project is client-driven only. So the work culture will be set up by the client team majorly. All the work, all the things that you are doing, all the processes that you are following, it's centered around those client requirements basically. But in product based companies, the companies itself themselves set up that work culture. So work culture will be more around learning. You will be able to learn more things there. You'll have much more opportunities to learn and
Mhm.
to implement new things. So another thing that I noticed, like in product in service based companies, most of the time the technologies, the things, the tools that we are using, the technologies that we are working on, those are a little bit older, since like
Mhm.
client has agreed to work with that particular set of technologies, which are much more common, I would say, in a market. And if you want to implement something new, some new technology, you might not be able to work on that or might not be able to implement that in a service based organization at that particular time. But in product based companies, companies are always innovating, always trying new things. So whatever that comes in the market that is better than the previous thing, they will always try to implement them. So in a way, you get better opportunities to learn. And then the last thing would be the career path. So let's say you are working in a service-based company, your career path sets in that direction, that you will be going towards next service-based organization where
Mhm.
the major thing that matters is the client relationship basically. So your
Right.
soft skills are developed much better in a service based organization, whereas in a product based organization your technical skill set gets better. So
Right.
obviously these things are all generalized. These are all as per my experience. Everyone experience can vary, but yeah, those are the things that I have noticed.
Sounds good. Perfect. So basically, you have said that yes, product-based organizations have immense opportunities, but that doesn't mean that there are no pros for service-based organizations. So all in all, service-based organizations working there can be a very good base building for getting into high-growth startups or product-based organizations, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Okay. So now let's jump on to the next question, which is how is the growth curve different? I know that you answered it in the first question, but I think this question more points to the compensation structure. So, a lot of folks have this myth. I mean, it's a myth for me as well. You'll have to clear it out for me. But the growth perspective, as in two things. One is learning, the other is compensation. So, is it true 100% of the time that the compensation and the learning curve is better in all the product-based companies as opposed to consulting or service-based organizations?
So in a way, yes, it's true. Most of the time, the career growth and the compensation growth is definitely better in a product-based company, but that again depends on the level of the product-based
Right.
company. So let's say you are joining a small startup that has just started
Mhm.
maybe a couple of months back, and the funding is not that much right now. It could grow into a bigger organization. Nobody knows that right now, but it could happen that the compensation might be less in that particular organization compared to a, let's say, you are getting offer from a bigger tier one level of service
Yeah.
based company. So definitely compensation growth is there in a product based organization, but that again depends on company to company. But yeah, definitely in 90% of the cases, compensation growth is much better there in a product based company instead of a service based, right? Another thing, the learning part. So
Yeah.
in most of the cases, in my cases and my experience in most of the companies, learning curve will be there. Learning opportunities will be more in a product based organization. You will learn new technologies, as I've already mentioned. You will learn new
Mhm.
technologies, you will learn new tools, new languages, you will have to implement new things.
Right.
All the work will be there on you only. There will be not much. That's one thing that I notice in a product based organization. So let's say even if you are joining a tier one or a tier two level of a product based company, the documentation is not that good, right? So in
Yeah.
that case, you have to learn everything by yourself. Maybe you can reach out to different teams who are working on that. You can get knowledge from them, but you have to at the end you have to implement everything by yourself, right? So in that case, you learn a lot of new things. You learn a lot of new skill sets. So your skill set grows drastically when you start
Mhm.
working in a product based company. That says that opportunity is always there in a service based company, but that again depends on a project to project in that particular service based company, right? So let's say if you're working in a smaller project, in that way it might happen that you get to learn a lot of new things, lot of technology. But let's say you get a chance to work in a bigger project that are very set on their path on how things needs to be done, what
Mhm.
technology needs to be used, yeah, right? So in that case you might not get much chance to learn those things. So yeah, I would say more learning opportunities would be there in a product based company as compared to a service.
Mm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Cool. So I hope that whoever questioned these things around growth and differences it's a little more clear now. So Ayush, the third question is, and this is close to my heart as well because both of us are not from IITs or NITs, right? And I remember when we were in the final year of engineering, we always heard that what these good big companies like Amazon, Flipkart, all these organizations are good for those tier one colleges, IITs or NITs. We should not even think about those organizations, right? So of course, the agenda for today's podcast is that how to get into product based organizations as a non-IITian or as a non-NITian. But can you pay a little more emphasis on this question? That is, the question is, so someone is asking that I'm not from a tier one college. Can I get into a product-based organization? Of course, we are giving the roadmap that yes, you can get into it. But how do you think that it is possible? I mean, uh, what makes it possible for folks like us to get into product-based organizations?
Right. So yes, first I would say there is always a difference when you're coming from a non-IITian college and when
Yeah.
you're coming from a tier one college. There is always gonna be a difference, but that again depends on your skill set. So I would give an example. I would not name anyone, but I would give an
Yeah.
example. When we were in our third year in my college, that was a non-IITian college.
Yeah.
There was there was a friend of us who get into Zomato internship basically.
Okay.
That was a 10-month internship. He learned all those things that were required for that organization, the things that I have already mentioned in the roadmap. He
Yeah.
worked on those things and he applied for that internship individually. He got that internship. Then after 10 months of his internship, he got that job into Zomato even before any of us got into our placements, right? So
Yeah.
obviously there will be possibilities for you to get into a company or into a good product based organization when you're coming from a tier 2 or
Mhm.
tier 3 level of college, but you have to put more efforts into gaining your skill set, gaining new skills, defining your skill set properly. So definitely it will be possible, but you have to increase your skill set based on that particular organization. So the roadmap that I have shared earlier, you have to work on those, increase your skill set, build up your network, create more and more projects. In that way your learning will be more. So definitely if you work according to that, you will definitely have good opportunities, and you can definitely get into a good product base.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think from your answer, I can infer is that yes, the brand name helps, but if you are dedicated and if you're willing to learn, you have all the resources on the internet, you can crack it. Of course, it takes a little more time, a little more effort, but it's not that it's not possible, right?
Right.
Perfect. Cool. Okay. So the next question coming to you is that someone has asked that I have an experience of less than 2 years. So should I wait for some time before moving this, making this shift, or is it the right time?
Yeah. So I believe there is never a wrong time to switch a company. So first thing you need to ask yourself why you are switching. So for me, there are two factors that I always think when I am switching a company. So obviously, in earlier times we used to not think much about switching from one organization to another organization. But in current times, since there are lots of opportunities in terms of compensation, in terms of career
Yeah.
growth, people switch after every other 2 3 years. So definitely, you can switch after 2 years or within 1 year as well. But you need to think of two things that always help me. That if your career growth has been redundant, let's say the things that you are working on, those are redundant for last 1 year or last couple of months, you are not able to learn new things. You do not get much opportunities to work on new things. That would be the first reason to look out for a switch. And then the second reason would be your compensation. So let's say after a couple of years, let's say 1 year or 2 years, your compensation has been stopped, and you see with your skill set, the market is providing much better compensation. Particularly other product based companies are providing much better compensation. So
Mm-hmm.
in at that time you need to look out. So it's never the wrong time. After, let's say you are asking after 1 year or 2 years,
Yeah.
never a wrong time. If you want to switch after 1 year, you can definitely switch. Even most companies, most product based companies right now are hiring for freshers as well as the 1 year or 2 year associates,
Yeah.
better than experienced associates, I would say.
Okay. So I think that answers the question that there is no right time. Now is the right time. If you want to go ahead and if you feel that you are ready to work hard, you can go ahead and just start preparing and start giving interviews. Okay. So the next question we have is that we talk a lot. We did talk lot of positivities about product based organizations, but what challenges did you face working in MongoDB, or as a rather as a product based organization, that you think that were not there in service based organizations?
Right. So I would answer it as a general question. The challenges that I have faced when I initially joined a product-based organization, and maybe some things I still face right now, or maybe I think some challenges I have discussed with my friends as well who are working into similar product-based organizations. They are also facing these type of issues. So first would be, I think I may have mentioned this earlier as well. So the documentation part is very less. So let's say you have started working into a new project. You need to that is basically connected into the older application, but you
Yeah.
need to get an information on the previous application on how the things were working, how the things were integrating earlier, so that you can get the new things started properly, right? So those documentations are very less. You need to connect specifically to the specific person who have worked on those applications. Let's say who are the business analysts, who are the managers who have worked on those projects, on those applications, who are the developers who have worked with them. So you need to connect with them directly, and you need to get those details, and you have to create your own documents. That is the bigger challenge that I faced working in any product based organization. So those things were not there in the service-based organizations. Our documentations were always there. The priority is always to create the document first, then to start your work properly.
Right.
So that would be the bigger challenge, I would say, that I faced. Another thing I would like to add, it might not be a challenge, but it could be a learning thing for people who are currently working in a service-based company or who are working in a product-based company. So in a product-based company, your soft skills do not get developed properly, right? So
Mm.
because you're not connecting directly with the clients,
Right.
you're directly working, connecting with the stakeholders of that own of your own company, right? So your soft skills like how you write mails, how you connect with people, how you talk to them, how you present your stuff, right? So those things are not getting developed properly when you're working in a product-based organization. But when you start working in a product-based, service-based organization, those soft
Mhm.
skills get developed very properly, I would say, because you on daily basis you have to connect with your clients, you have to provide your statuses to them, you have to provide your reports to them on weekly, let's say weekly basis or monthly basis. So those soft skills get developed very good once you are in a service-based organization. So one
Right.
thing that I suggest everyone who may be a fresher out of a college, so first join a service-based organization for
Mm.
let's say a couple of months or maybe 1 or 2 years, so that you understand how to talk to people in the industry, how to send mails, how to create reports, basically all those soft skills. Then once your soft skills are developed properly, work on your skill set, then switch to a product basis.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
I hope
So
that.
yeah, yeah. So all in all, I mean, of course, everything has its both the ends. That is, there is a good side and a bad side. So it's not that if you're working with the service-based organizations, you're not learning anything. There are a lot of opportunities to learn there as well, and consider that as a stepping stone for the next phase of your career. Right. Okay, so keeping the time in mind and keeping the speed podcasting in the mind, I am going to stop here with the questions. We had some other questions as well, but we filtered out the most commonly asked ones. So again, thank you, Ayush, for providing your insights and answering our viewers' questions with utmost patience and detail. Now, before we close, would you like to share any closing remarks or your last thoughts on this topic?
So one thing that I would like to say is like always do not basically lose your hopes that let's say I have noticed with a couple of people, in even I get these messages on LinkedIn that I've been
Yeah.
applying for a couple of months but I'm not getting any calls from any organization. So I would say don't lose hopes. It is a tough market every day. Lots of engineers are getting into market. It's a harsh reality, and lots of companies are firing people as well in these
Yeah.
times right now. So don't lose hope. Keep on applying, keep on growing your skill set. One day you will get your chance, and one day you will get into your dream company. Yeah, that's very basic thing that I would like.
Sounds good. Perfect. Thank you so much, Ayush, for being here. And guys, again, if you want to talk about anything to Ayush, please reach out to him and he'll be more than happy to help. So, closing the podcast or the speed podcast right now is I would like to just say a couple of words. That is, thank you for turning in today's episode of how to switch from service based to product based organizations as a non IIT or as a non NITian. We hope that you found our discussions insightful and valuable. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review on Tech and More. If you have any more questions or if you would like us to create podcasts on your topic, do let us know and we'll be more than happy to help you. Again, thank you so much for watching this podcast and I hope that we help you in some manner. See you in the next session. Thank you guys. Bye bye.